Any self-respecting nerd loves the Battlestar Galactica reboot, so shouldn't any self-respecting nerd gamer love a roguelite RTS Battlestar Galactica game? Watch on and find out. My name is Thoraxe, and this is Strategy for Busy People. If you've got a few minutes, I'll tell you what to play. Funny story for you as we start this episode of Strategy for Busy People. When I first started watching the Battlestar Galactica reboot series, I didn't realize there was a mini-series that preceded it. So I'm watching all these people running for their lives and making these faster-than-light jumps, wondering when they're going to flash back to the precipitating incident. I didn't find out until the end of Season 1 that there was a multi-hour thing I had failed to watch. Fortunately for you, dear viewer, there is no miniseries you have to watch before starting to play Battlestar Galactica Scattered Hopes by Alt-Shift. Oh, and I put a few hours into this title. Now, before I started reviewing games on YouTube, I was doing written reviews and sharing them with my coworkers. During that time period, I had reviewed Crying Suns, also by Alt-Shift. The two games share a lot of bones, but it's clear that Alt-Shift learned a few things with their first go-around, and Battlestar gives a much more polished vibe. The entirety of the game takes place in what more or less appears to be that first flight of humanity from the Cylons. Each time you start a sector, you have a limited number of turns before the Cylons show up, at which point you enter a real-time with pause combat scenario. But we'll cover the combat parts at the end. There is a lot to cover on game mechanics, so buckle up. It's going to be a ride. The game is essentially a sequence of resource management challenges wrapped with RNG crises and opportunities, sprinkled over with some faction management and some RPG elements. Is that enough for you? The three resources you have to manage are fuel, supplies, and scrap. Fuel is the most obvious one because it's how your ships get around, but every time you get to a sector, there is a specific number of points of interest that require fuel to visit to get whatever might be there. Want to go on a supply run or on a mission to fetch a derelict squadron? It's gonna cost you a fuel unit. So far, so good. And, as you might be gleaning from my description so far, each of the different types of points of interest garners different rewards. Your fleet has its officers, and each officer has special abilities. Those abilities, at least in what I uncovered in playing the demo, cover offensive combat, defensive combat, and fleet management-y stuff. As one example, in my first playthrough, which I failed to screen record, my logistics officer got a level up reward of a special ability that would give a fuel bonus anytime that officer was used on a POI mission. POI mission, did you say? Yes, those same POI missions I mentioned before can also have officers involved. Each officer, by default, gets a single point they can spend to do something in each sector. When it comes to POI missions, that almost always involves getting some kind of better reward. Either more of the resource that the mission is focused on, or some special rarity bonus to whatever it is that you were getting, like a fighter squadron with a rare ability. But wait, there's more. You will frequently have these crises that come up where you can either choose to deal with the crisis right then or follow a sequence of criteria to successfully solve it. Oftentimes, this is a pretty big deal situation where failing to solve the crisis might have a pretty disastrous effect on your fleet, but, quote, paying to avoid the crisis might be too much to bear. You also occasionally get these little events that you have to deal with right then and there that resolve immediately on decision, or you get these situations where you have to work with one of the factions and your choice might either improve or reduce relations with them. Or you have a special situation with one of your officers that might improve or reduce their morale. Or maybe sometimes it's a situation that might do all of these things. Sheesh. And this is just a portion of the Choices Matter decision space that encompasses this game. Now we have to talk about fleet management. So yes, in addition to everything I just mentioned, you also have to manage your fleet. Scrap is a resource that can be used in your R&D department to invest in fleet upgrades, like getting another bay to deploy another fighter squadron during combat. You can end up going on POI missions to pick up additional civilian ships, each of which has its own abilities, like providing supplies and scrap, etc. You can invest in upgrading those civilian ships to make them produce more of the stuff. Your individual fighter squadrons can also be managed and level up, and officers can be assigned to them. Your capital ship has a variety of defenses that can be equipped and leveled up, and officers can be assigned to that department too. Oh, and at the start of a sector, your ships may have taken damage during the last combat or otherwise are already damaged and in a state where they have their own events that need to be resolved. And for almost all of the actions that you take during this portion of the game, you consume one of the turns, bringing you close to the inevitable Cylon attack, at which point you need to pick a new sector to jump to, and it starts all over again. So you have to manage all of these different things, constantly balancing fleet repair, upgrades, maintenance, getting the resources you need, and ultimately preparing for the next attack. Hopefully, you survive until you can rendezvous with the Battlestar Galactica. So, honestly, if they had just stopped there, this probably would have been a complicated game enough as it is. But then there is the whole real-time with pause space combat. You did already choose the makeup of your fighter squadrons and starting defenses, right? Well, go fix that and then let's fight. Start by deploying your fighter squadrons and off you go. Each of your different types of fighters has different characteristics of speed, range, damage, evasion, and so on and so forth. Don't forget the requisite special abilities that can be earned while leveling up. My starting squads had a fast attack ship and essentially a long-distance sniper that couldn't shoot and move at the same time. The fast attack ship could auto-engage any enemies in its vicinity with a special ability, and the sniper would shoot at anyone within its range automatically as well. The initial sector combat mostly involved me moving the fast attack ship to intercept one incoming set of bogies, while the sniper hopefully did enough damage to others to allow me to send the fast attack ship back to finish taking the enemy out. While all of these bogies are randomly jumping in, the Cylon capital ship might be lobbing missiles at you, some of which might be nukes. Missiles do a ton of damage, so ensuring that you take them out quickly is really critical, and unsurprisingly, since this is a roguelike, the random encounters will also see the enemy getting random abilities that just might not be so fun to deal with. The goal of space combat is never to win. No, that might be too easy. No, the goal is to survive long enough for the jump drive to spin up so that you can jump out. And you can be sure that the longer the combat goes on, the worse and greater quantity of the enemy will arrive. You do have some of those aforementioned capital defenses that you can deploy, but they have a long cooldown time and their own caveats. The flak cannon does a little damage all over a big area, but you can sweep yourself up in it. The nukes are, well, nukes. But you have a very limited supply of them, and you can't always get more. As you gain more options for capital ship defenses, you can swap them out, even during combat, just like you can recall and redeploy squadrons during combat. So, much like the main portion of the game is a lot of balancing decisions against impossible odds, the combat too is essentially more of the same. Hey, before I give my final verdict, if this is your first episode, this one's free. But if you've watched me before, we're going to make an agreement. You help me level up by clicking subscribe, and I'll keep making these videos. I'll spend the time playing the games and making content that I hope you'll like, and you'll return the favor, okay? Leave comments, tell me what you think. It's all good. You just agree to engage. That's all I ask. The final verdict. This game hits a ton of the right notes as far as the BSG reboot canon is concerned, even with a nod to Adama and rendezvousing with him and the BSG itself as the goal of the game. The decision space is broad and complex, and both the depth and complexity of it all ensure that you will constantly feel challenged, if not downright inundated with problems that all simultaneously need fixing. on my trademarked 3-point score scale of avoid, meh, and I forgot to eat. There's actually a bar in this game, which is clearly an eating establishment, and yet, unfortunately, there did not appear to be anything other than libations or gambling served. That being said, this game is absolutely worth your pennies, even if you weren't a BSG fan to begin with. But if you are, the game immerses you in a world you came to love watching the show in a faithful way that recreates the tension and fear of that first season. Even with all of that, though, a captain's gotta eat, and this ship ain't got no mess. So I packed up my secret Cylon girlfriend and went off to find whatever it is that Cylons eat. If they eat, which I don't think they do? Do they?